It's already October, and I'm starting to make some DIY projects for you. So, let's talk about the snowboard in my hands. This snowboard is over 10 years old, and my father made it, just like when I was very little. About 12 years old, this snowboard is definitely made of beech. You see, here it is curved, this side is curved, and this side of it is curved a little bit. I freestyled, jumped, and turned on it. Yes, it turned out to be heavy. Well, no one else has it. I was the only one who didn't have this because I live in a village, and I was simply the king of the hill as soon as the guys learned to ride it. I did what I wanted. They made mine literally in a few days in the winter in the cold because I really wanted to. But we won't repeat the mistakes. I'll tell you about it right now. How to make a snowboard so you can start getting ready for it. Getting ready for winter, getting ready for rides, etc. As you can see here, this is how the board is bent. I'll tell you all about how it's bent and a bit about how it's reinforced here. This pad also has rubber here to prevent it from slipping. Well, I don't know. I rode it with one person, two people, even sitting down with my butt on it while coming down the hill. Of course, the fastening was just great. They made the most ordinary ones, but the most effective. We'll talk about this a little bit later. I rode it again last year, so I'm already weighing 80 kilograms. So basically I rode it. Well, of course, with age it couldn't hold up and the back edge chipped a bit. I wanted to glue it back, but then I lost it and didn't do anything. This edge of the board chipped a little, but it's not a big deal, I thought. Let it be. It doesn't really affect its performance too much. It won't be too much, but it does affect its characteristics. Here. So, what we need for this is that we're going to make a snowboard together. I don't have a beech or oak skin. I lost any others. I only have pine. We will make pine. Here I have a board 20 centimeters wide. And 1.5 centimeters thick. We will make it from it. You can do it using the same principle that I'm going to use now with any other board. Be it beech plywood. If you have it, what kind of plywood is there? You will get 2 centimeters of toast. You can also try to make some from it. You will succeed. I will now show you using the example of this pine dose of such a crush, how to measure the required length of a snowboard. You can find a ton of articles and pictures on the internet about this. Yes, I'll tell you, the snowboard should come up to your chest. When it comes up to your chest, then you'll be comfortable riding it. I've already figured this out from the ones I've had, and believe me, I've had quite a few. We made them, we broke them, logs in different ways. But this method is the most effective, the best. The first thing we need to do is measure the length of the board and cut it. Now you need a large pot of hot water so that our board fits in it, both in width and height. I have this big pot, about 25-30 centimeters wide and high along the bend line. Now you need to secure all of this, and I'll be securing it like this. Look, here. So, I just have a vise here at the edge. I'm pressing it down with clamps, and I'm just going to bend it here. You can use a regular table or a workbench, yeah, anything, anywhere you can bend it like that. So, you'll need to tie the edge. I'm going to take a cinder block and some rope, and now I'll show you what it's going to look like. Look, when I'm bending it, I pull it down, shape it, and tie it with wire. The water I have is boiling hot. It just started boiling, so I took it off and brought it. If you put the board in boiling water, it might crack in the boiling water. A big temperature difference can cause it to crack. But you see how much it fits in, about 20 centimeters. Well, that's exactly how we're going to bend it. Well, about 5 minutes. Let it sit in this boiling water. Already time to start. It turns out that it's wet here. The bending line further. So I'm taking a metal strip, placing it underneath, and making the bending line where I need it. You can already see that the board has started to bend at this angle. I'm now doing this for the full effect. I'm going to pour a little more boiling water on top. After a bit of struggle with securing it because there wasn't enough weight and it was bending poorly, I did it this way. So guys, I hung a cinder block. Here it is in the air. Another cinder block on top. Bricks at the bottom. And I set it all up at an angle because it wasn't secured tightly for me. And now look at the angle it has. That's a good angle. Look at that angle. Now everything is as it should be. The main thing, guys, is to make sure that right here at the bend it doesn't crack. You don't want to overdo it, and you see, it's bending nicely now. I moved it a couple of centimeters, so the heel is a bit further from the edge, which reduces the load. Let it stay like this and hold for, I don't know, definitely a day or two to dry. So, it's been 2 days for me. Here's our snowboard board in the same spot. Now we're going to pull it out. So that's how we bent it. Look. Look how great it is, see? It's a really big angle. You can clearly see it here, like this. Overall, I think it turned out great. Here's a great angle for snowboarding. It turned out, see? It will definitely straighten out a bit over time. So, it's going to sit like this until tomorrow. And we will continue to work on this board when it straightens out a bit. We're going to glue them together and make rounded edges. And if you want, you can also bend the other edge a little bit. But I won't toss it, it will stay as is. I only have this edge bent because I already have a snowboard with 2 bent edges. Guys, another day has passed for me. And here's the bend we ended up with, see? Now we will need some tools at this stage. And right now we will need a jigsaw. If you don't have an electric one, you can use a manual one and cut it by hand. So I used a lid, like this one, from some bucket, I don't know. I just placed the lid and traced it with a marker. I ended up with a semicircle here, and also a semicircle at the bend. I just placed it, traced it, and now my task is to cut out these edges. We cut out our snowboard, and it turned out well. Here's a semicircle like this. It's good, and there's a semicircle like this here. Now we need to sand this down. It's good that I have an electric sander like this one. Here's regular sandpaper. You can use regular sandpaper or any other method to sand it down. I will only sand the edge that we will be riding on, so I won't sand the top part where the feet are placed. To avoid losing our thickness and to have some roughness here, it would be easier to hold it in your hands. And now I will sand the bottom edge, where we will be riding. Well guys, I've sanded everything down. This side is smooth. Perfect, good. This is how it turned out. I also sanded this side a little bit, just barely. Like this, I hardly even sanded it. I made the edges. As you can see, I've rounded it off a bit. And this is the bend we have left. So, our board is already ready for riding. Now we just need to make the bindings for the feet. Bindings. The bindings can be different. You can use old ski bindings. You can come up with your own bindings, but I went with a vine, like I made for myself. I often lost track of my snowboarding because I jumped on it. I already told the beginning of the video on the 2-meter cycle and was spinning. And I did everything possible. In short, it was the star of the mountain. Here. Then... So, as I did, look here, I just have a thick cord. A thick rope like this. And you just put your foot under it and everything is very comfortable. It was very good. Here we will do exactly the same thing now. Don't eat this cord. Here it is. Such a sleeve. Some kind of, I don't know what kind of rope this is. Where do you get dog leashes? Such green thick ones. You can make them from them. So, we only need a little bit of this cord. And now we're going to mark our new board here and here, figuring out where to place the feet. So, it's more comfortable for me to stand on the left side, so I'm making the binding for the left side. Well, that's roughly how I position myself on the board with my feet. Slightly. It's more comfortable when they're not perfectly straight, but rather a bit angled like this. But this is roughly how I'm going to make the bindings, although I can change it all later in the process, and I'm outlining it with a marker. I'm making a little bit a small strip here and here. Now we stand up and we have the imprints of our feet. More precisely, a screwdriver and self-tapping screws so that they do not go right through our side. We need to pick out some short self-tapping screws. Now we will screw our fasteners together. For the feet, we're not attaching it in the center of the board. I'll show you, but rather shifting it a bit forward so that the heel has some movement. And here, it turns out, is about 3/4 of the way. That's the middle of the board. And here it's cool. So friends, I'm going to screw in our binding with 3 screws on each side. 3 here, 3 here, and here. We have, you see, nothing at all came out. Everything is great. Everything is fine. Here we have a fastening holder. We screw the second one under the second leg. Well, now we just need to try on our mount. 1 foot and the second foot, everything is good. The advantage of this mount is that on the small hills where we will be riding, we don't have any huge mountains. If anything, at the beginning it will be very difficult for you to ride. You can just jump out and run on. If the binding was too tight on your foot, you would fall and break your nose. With a no-board, tumbling over the jump, and this way it will keep going. You just jump off and that's it. The board is small and maneuverable. If you want, you can also bend the second edge. Just like here, this edge is bent. You don't need to bend it too much. It's enough to have a good binding down. We did a good job sanding. The board turned out pretty nice. For us, the city, you can also do the same on this board as I did on this heavy, big one. Look, where the feet are, the straps are positioned to stand better, and the nose is reinforced. But my nose is reinforced because it's thinner. It's thinner than the one we have there. You see, my board has a thinner nose, and then it gets thicker along the board. That board is made right. It's the same thickness, just the nose. That's right. It's the same thickness, just the nose. Well, I didn't do the back edge. I didn't bend it. You can bend it just like I showed. So now, I want to like this green color. I have this kind of paint. This part of the city. Nice, let's leave it as is. No need to paint or cover it with varnish, nothing at all. And this part can be covered with varnish, or I can paint it this light green color now. Of course, it would be right to blow it off, the side, before turning the mount is foot. But I just found the paint now, so it's no big deal. I'll spray it along with the binding. It's turning out to be such a beauty. I also have this black paint and this edge. I want to make it black. And the next day, when the paint dried, we got a snowboard like this. Guys, it will ride great when it snows, when it's winter. I'll definitely shoot another video and show you how I ride it, friends. Now, if you liked it, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I worked hard for you. Actually, I have a really big channel with a lot of videos on different topics. Friends, you here? You'll definitely like it. Come in, subscribe, and check it out. I'm waiting for your comments. Good luck to everyone. Bye for now.